The engine hums steadily, a rhythmic purr beneath the cold, crisp air. The headlights pierce through the swirling flurries of snow, illuminating the narrow, winding road ahead. This is Switzerland in the heart of winter, where villages sleep beneath a pristine white blanket, untouched and serene. But tonight, the road holds an air of mystery, something unsettling beneath its tranquil facade. The tires crunch against the packed snow as the vehicle moves forward, leaving behind the warmth of the previous town. Houses grow sparser, their rooftops burdened with thick layers of snow. The road is flanked by towering pines, their branches drooping under the weight of ice. In the far distance, the silhouettes of snow-capped mountains loom, standing as silent sentinels over the land. The air is still, yet there is an unshakable feeling of something unseen, something waiting just beyond the reach of the headlights. As the hours pass, the darkness begins to recede, giving way to the pale hues of dawn. The first rays of sunlight shimmer against the icy road, revealing a breathtaking landscape of endless white. The car enters a small town where the snow has begun to melt, revealing cobblestone streets and aged wooden houses built in the traditional Swiss style. A cozy cafe sits on the corner, its windows fogged from the warmth inside. People begin to emerge, bundled in thick coats, their breath visible in the cold morning air. A bakery releases the scent of fresh pastries into the crisp air, mingling with the subtle aroma of pine. Shops and inns line the streets, their rustic charm adding to the town's inviting atmosphere. A lone traveler, wrapped in a heavy scarf, steps out of a hotel, looking up at the towering cliffs that surround the village. The vehicle moves through the town, passing by an old clock tower that has stood against the elements for centuries. The bell tolls softly, marking the arrival of another day in this timeless place. But the road beckons once more, leading the car away from the town and into the vast wilderness beyond. Houses become fewer, their lights flickering like distant stars before fading completely. The road stretches wide open and seemingly endless. Snowbanks rise on either side, untouched except for the faint tracks of another vehicle that passed through ours before. The silence is thick, punctuated only by the steady crunch of tires against the ice-backed road. Then the scenery shifts, the trees grow denser, their skeletal branches forming a tangled canopy overhead. The light from the sun struggles to pierce through the thick forest, casting long, eerie shadows across the road. The driver's grip on the wheel tightens, an inexplicable tension settling in. A figure moves between the trees, a trick of the light, perhaps? The thought lingers, but the vehicle continues forward, deeper into the unknown. Soon, the forest gives way to an open expanse. A vast snow-covered field stretches out beneath the brightening sky, glistening as the sunlight grows stronger. The snow here is melting, revealing dark patches of earth underneath. The stark contrast between the blinding white and the emerging brown creates an almost surreal landscape, as if the world itself is in transition. The road curves through this desolate beauty, leading onward toward the next set of towering peaks in the distance. Beyond the open field, the terrain becomes rugged once more. The mountains close in, their icy slopes catching the sunlight in dazzling reflections. The road narrows, winding treacherously along the mountainside. Below, a deep valley yawns, filled with mist that clings to the jagged cliffs like a living entity. The car moves cautiously, the air growing colder, sharper as elevation increases. And then another town appears. This one is smaller, more remote. Smoke rises from the chimneys of wooden lodges, curling into the icy air. The streets are quiet, nearly deserted, save for a lone figure pulling a sled along the frost-covered ground. The architecture is similar to the previous town, old, rustic, but here, there is an undeniable sense of isolation. A dog barks somewhere in the distance, its sound quickly swallowed by the vast emptiness that surrounds the village. The journey presses on, the vehicle glides over the icy road, its tires carving a delicate path through the thin layer of fresh snow. The landscape remains vast, an endless expanse of frozen beauty. The crisp morning light glistens off the untouched snowbanks, reflecting off the windshield in a dazzling display. The silence is profound, save for the hum of the engine and the distant whisper of the wind. Ahead, the road begins to climb. The incline is subtle at first, but soon the vehicle is ascending into higher elevations, where the air grows thinner and colder. The surrounding peaks loom closer, their jagged edges piercing the sky like ancient sentinels. Patches of ice glisten on the roadside, treacherous and unforgiving. The driver remains focused, hands steady on the wheel, eyes scanning the path ahead for any signs of danger. The trees that had been so dense now begin to thin out, revealing glimpses of the valley below. The view is breathtaking, a tapestry of white and blue stretching as far as the eye can see. Rivers, frozen in time, wind through the landscape like veins of crystal. Snow-covered rooftops dot the valley floor, their chimneys releasing thin plumes of smoke into the morning sky. A small village nestles against the base of the mountains, its streets quiet, its presence a stark contrast to the vast wilderness surrounding it. The road snakes downward, leading toward the village. As the vehicle approaches, signs of life begin to emerge. A figure bundled in thick winter clothing trudges along the roadside, their breath visible in the frigid air. A small wooden sign, partially buried in snow, marks the village's name, its letters weathered and worn, almost unreadable. The driver slows, taking in the scene. The town is modest, its buildings constructed from dark timber and heavy stone. Traditional Swiss architecture dominates, with sloped roofs designed to withstand the weight of heavy snowfall. A single main street runs through the heart of the village, lined with shops and eateries. A bakery, its windows fogged from the warmth inside, emits the inviting scent of fresh bread and pastries. A cafe, its doors open despite the cold, beckons with the promise of hot coffee and shelter from the biting wind. The vehicle rolls forward, passing a small hotel with a sign swaying gently in the breeze. The village appears peaceful and touched by time, yet something about it feels off. The streets, though recently cleared of snow, bear no fresh footprints. The lights in the windows flicker, but no faces appear behind the glass. The feeling of isolation, of being watched, lingers in the air. The road leads out of the village once more, back into the wild expanse beyond. The snow returns, thicker than before, reclaiming the landscape with its quiet dominance. The trees grow denser, their branches heavy with ice, bending beneath the weight of winter's grasp. Shadows stretch long across the road, distorted by the morning sun, shifting with the wind. The sense of solitude deepens, as if the world itself has fallen away, leaving only this path, this journey. Beyond the trees, the road opens into a vast, frozen plain. The sun, though bright, offers little warmth. The snow glows under its rays, a blinding expanse stretching endlessly in all directions. Here, in this open space, the wind roars, sweeping across the landscape with relentless force. The vehicle moves forward, tires crunching over the hardened ice, the only sound in the overwhelming emptiness. Then, in the distance, movement, a lone figure stands atop a ridge, their silhouette stark against the sky. They are still unmoving, watching. The driver's breath catches for a moment, but the figure is too far to make out any details. The vehicle presses on, the road curving gently to the left, and when the driver looks back, the figure is gone. Had they been real, or was it just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the wind and snow? The mountains begin to rise again, their sheer cliffs reflecting the harsh glare of the sun. The road winds higher into terrain even more unforgiving than before. The trees thin out entirely, replaced by jagged rock and endless white. The sky darkens slightly, clouds creeping in, casting long, shifting shadows across the road. A storm is approaching. The driver tightens their grip on the wheel, aware that the journey is about to become even more treacherous. Ahead, another village lies nestled in a deep valley. This one is even smaller, more remote. The buildings appear ancient, their wooden walls weathered by time and the elements. A single road leads in and out, winding precariously along the cliffs. The vehicle descends carefully, navigating the sharp turns and steep drops. The wind howls through the valley, carrying with it a sound almost like voices, distant and indistinct. As the car enters the village, the tension in the air is undeniable. The streets are empty, the windows dark. No smoke rises from the chimneys, no signs of life are visible. The vehicle slows, rolling past houses whose doors hang slightly ajar, their interior swallowed by darkness. A single street lamp flickers, its weak glow casting airy shadows against the frost-covered walls. Something is not right. The driver hesitates, fingers tightening on the wheel. The wind howls louder, the storm approaching swiftly. The decision must be made soon. The road continues, leading deeper into the unknown, the snow swirling in chaotic patterns,